It seems like the beauty community is in a frenzy every time Natasha Denona releases a new palette, and I must admit, I get excited too, and every time I march my little butt over to her website and I'm like, this time there's a lot of greens. Maybe it'll be vegan this time. And I scroll down and it's not, so I don't get it. And this time, as I was on the website checking, I was like, if it's vegan, I'm going to buy it right now. I was sold by the packaging, I was sold by the excitement, and I think there's this idea that Natasha Denona is someone who puts a lot of care into curating her color stories. In this day and age, where there seems to be a lot of palette releases most of the time, there seems to be a lack of care and consideration put in. But the more that I thought about the Yucca palette after learning that I wasn't going to buy it, I realized it's not a palette for me anyway. I've often said I have a complicated relationship with greens and I feel like I have enough greens. It also has a bunch of oranges, which I don't like wearing with greens, and I might actually wear orange the least of any eyeshadow color anyway. And I realized the thing that was drawing me in was just the packaging and the excitement. And I think there is something to be said about the excitement, because other palettes, it seems like once they're released, everyone stops talking about them online. But because a lot of creators that I follow were actually purchasing this palette, it doesn't seem that weird to be coming out with the duping video a month later. So that is kind of what I'm doing today. But with my realizations that the palette itself wouldn't be right for me, I wanted to take the excitement and the vision and make the palette that I would actually want to purchase if it was vegan. So I'm imagining I woke up today, I'm Natasha Denona, it's like a year ago, and someone else is like, this is the beautiful chartreuse ombre packaging, what shadows are we putting inside? I'm like, I got you. I'm Natasha Denona. Let's figure this out. So we're gonna switch over to my hands and design the palette my way, and afterwards I'm going to create this look using the palette, so stay tuned. Okay, let's hop into it. I put this at the top of my pile because I wanted to share a thought I just had while looking at my palettes, that like the Menagerie Killer Purr is kind of a yucca-y, right? Like this obviously has the blue and teal element, but it has the greens and orange. It's very like earthy. This is definitely a way more me palette than the Yucca palette is, for the reasons that I already enumerated, I think. But that was a thought I just had, and I thought it was worth sharing. Okay, so I'm going to make the palette in here. I think I am going to stick to 15 pans like the Yucca palette is. I think I'm already going back and forth between Yucca and Yucca. I think it's Yucca. I think it's Yucca.
In Spanish, it is pronounced as yucca. Yucca. In English, though, it is generally said as yucca. Yucca.
So because the palette itself isn't going to look just like the Yucca palette, I will at least keep it in the same format, which is 3 rows of 5 pans, which I will do in here. And I'm ready to hop into all my palettes and start looking for shadows. I had one that instantly came to mind that, for me, kind of summarizes what I wish this palette is. And it's that one right there. This is one of my favorite Cliona shades anyway. This is Ochre. And it's just such like a pretty chartreusey green bronze. Oof. I'm gonna swatch everything in the end, but like this just needed its moment right now because it's so good. I want that to be kind of like the centerpiece of this palette. There's 2 others in here. Yeah, I think 2 others that I'm gonna grab up for now, and obviously we'll edit down at some point and see what actually makes the cut. But I was thinking carving, because I like that the Yucca palette has those kind of like cool tone, shimmer, unexpected pops. And I definitely want to keep that in here. So I thought carving is such a gorgeous shadow. It really excites me. I want to try to include it. And here I have Terra Moon shades and I have Glaminate Tricks. I like the look of this one. I do have a bunch of greens in here, but I feel like they're more Kelly green than I want this palette to go. If anything, I could see Ophiuchus. So maybe I'll pull it out for now. And I think I'm going to pull out Gamma Ray as well. Wait, I think there's a matte too. I want to pull out, yeah, this is Chestnut. It's a little bit of a powdery matte formula, which can scare me in a dark color, but I feel like there's like a warmth to it that I like. It's called Chestnut, so it makes sense. I am going to pull in this ColourPop matte for now, but it might get booted. Same with the Sydney Grace one. I do want to be careful that it doesn't get too green. You know, I was going to pull in Whistling Woods from Shine by SD, but just placing it down in here, it's similar enough to Bronze Fountain, and I know I like Bronze Fountain for the vision better. My Cruise palette, there's a couple shades that like could possibly work for it, but I don't necessarily need them to. I think it does kind of say something though that there's not that much crossover between the idea of this palette and what I chose to take with me for a week. My Luxie palette. A couple things that are popping out to me, these kind of like really interesting, coolish shimmers are, but I don't know how much of that I really need since I'm pretty confident about including carving. But like, if I was less confident about carving, Abracadabra would certainly be a contender, as would, I think this is Hybrid. Yeah, Hybrid. Actually, knowing this one though, the mauve base, like the berryness to the base might be a little bit too warm for this. These greens look nice. These like bronzes look nice. I'm looking at Rocky Road, especially because I was watching a video before where Lauren May Beauty swatched this and it looks so nice in the swatch. But I feel like mine doesn't come up like with enough body anymore or something. But actually that looks really nice on camera. But either way, Bronze Fountain covers this. I feel like usually when I put palettes together, I pull out so many at first and then I have to edit down. This time I might even have to like edit up. So this is my randomly selected palette for May and my big pans. And I don't think there's anything in here that I need either. Okay, I have this like mossy green from Adept, and I could see myself including this for something a little bit less like literal than those green mattes I pulled out before. This is ACM 19. I know they don't sell individual shadows like this anymore, but I do like it. Oh, and more green mattes over here. I wasn't even looking at this side yet. I don't know how much I'd want to use it, but I like the look of this matte here. This is caramelized. I'm going to pull it out for now, but I could see myself just committing to making the mattes in this a little bit more peachy instead of this, but either way, I want to pull it out. And these greens, I'm going to pull out these greens for now, and we can edit down. This one's a little bit too bright though. I don't know, the palette right now is looking very Yucca-y, and it doesn't really have that me element other than the fact that like the shimmers or shadows that I really like. My Pretties for Your Face and Copacetic. I might pull out one of these satins actually. I'd like to get some more use out of these, like using them on my lower lash line. And this one in particular, I know it has like pinkiness to it. This is Strange. Okay. Maybe that'll be like the start of a little tie-in. Divina and Luxie Mattes. Okay, maybe this is where we get to the heart of me. Because some of these Luxie mattes are like my absolute favorite matte colors for like building block looks. And maybe I do just need to like go with that. Maybe that's just how I make it me. Divina Courtney is one of my favorite mattes. I love this color. It is pretty similar to that Adept, but I think it has a little bit more brightness. And I think possibly we could condense the Adept one and one of the Menagerie ones into just this. I'm eyeing this one. Who are you? Sunset Sands. This has like that goldish orangeness that I feel like is represented in the original Yucca palette. I'm also looking at Mystic Moon Pie. I love this shadow. It's such an interesting neutral, but is it too close to carving? Or is this the kind of thing that will push it over the edge into looking like a meat palette? I'm also going to pull out Thalassic. This is an interesting shade. Okay. And then we have my inner corner shades. Inner corner shades are very important to me. They make a look me to me. And I believe that the Yucca palette doesn't have any like really light shimmers. In fact, I'm pretty confident about that. I think I did pass over Fairy Fire. I think it was in my Cruise palette, but I have Rich Bliss, which is really similar I believe it's considered a dupe by people that make those distinctions. And I always reach for Fairy Fire over this one, so maybe I will pull this one in and it'll be a little bit of a learning experience for me too to see if I enjoy this one as much as I enjoy Fairy Fire. That is a very intense green, if it is just like Fairy Fire. I'm wondering if I should pull in a more neutral element, or is this Light Year? Yeah, this is Light Year. This has like a yellow to it, or I could just go with like a neutral. This is Nectar from Luxie. I'm going to do Light Year for now. We'll see if it makes the cut. All right, and this is what we're working with. Okay, I definitely pulled out a lot of greens. I was looking at the Yucca palette before, and I'm pretty sure, without like really thinking scientifically, I'm pretty sure it only has 5 shadows that really stood out to me instantly as a green, and I'm pretty sure it only had 2 oranges and the rest were neutrals, which is just kind of interesting food for thought. Okay, so realistically, for a 15-pan palette, I think I could live with 1 inner corner shade. I also think that Rich Bliss looks so much better with the rest of the shadows than Light Year does. This one just looks so stark. And I also think I want to include the Luxie mattes to make it look more like a me palette with those rosy tones. I'm trying to think of like how many I need though. I might not need the lightest one. I think this second lightest one does work as a nice transition color for me as well. This is Dreamy. And then perhaps we'll just do a couple more steps in with the mattes. I could see this one going in too, but we'll see. So those would basically be like the neutral mattes. I don't think I need this one. I really just don't like this color. I think I saved it for instances like making a palette, but it's important to me to make a palette that I would realistically want to use, and I don't want to use the shadow. I'm going to put Ochre back in because that's definitely going in there. Just kind of doing like a little mock arrangement for now to give myself an idea. So I have all these green mattes pulled out. I feel like I might just have to finish and like fluff it out with the green mattes or something because they don't excite me, but I would use them. Okay, I think I definitely want to put in Sunset Sands from Divina. This does add like a different element, and although I said I was specifically not going towards the orange, I do like how this looks in there, and it's really that in-between type of shade. I also definitely want to put in Carving as like an unexpected pop. I think I will put like a green matte somewhere in here too. But yeah, we do need to make sure we're building up the greenness. I'm going to put in Bronze Fountain also. It'll go there for now. And I'm going to put in Ophiuchus. Oh, that really like made it look a lot greener in my opinion. Okay, I think of these, Courtney's my favorite. So I think I am going to put in Courtney and we'll boot out this Adept one. We have 3 spots left. I don't think I'm going to include Mystic Moon Pie just because I feel like I need to bring back the green in here. I also don't think I'm going to have room for Gamma Ray or for Thalassic. I might even need to do another green sweep just because I feel like it makes the most sense to me to put this one in. But I think putting this in really changes the look of the palette. Like I would put it there. Maybe that is just what it needs. And then I could put 1 green matte here and 1 like green shimmer here perhaps. I think this Menagerie one might compete a little bit with Ochre. So let me look at my Luxie shadows again. Okay, this is kind of a fun one. This is Wicked Witch, which if you were watching anytime last year, I talked about it a lot because I love the shadow. It's from Luxie. It really surprised me. It has like a berry base to it. It just looks so interesting and multidimensional in the eye. I love it. I always forget about it. And I feel like, oh, interesting. I could even put it here instead of that one. I was going to put it in place of the Menagerie one, but it kind of works there. Okay, hold please. Okay, I poked around a little bit and I came to 3 contenders, okay? Terra Moon Space Case. It is a gorgeous shadow that I was just thinking today I don't use nearly enough. But is it too close to Ophiuchus? Maybe. Like, I know on the eye it's a different experience, but like in a 15-pan palette? Maybe. Another option is Titan. If I'm remembering correctly, it's kind of similar to Ochre. It has that same like chartreusey yellow, green, bronze, but it's a much more sheer formula. But I think in a 15 palette, it might be too similar. And then, I think this might be the winner, okay? Sorry to have already decided, like, when I'm saying I'm asking you. Terramoon's Milky Way. I know, a little bit of an unexpected choice, but to have another, like, grayish shade in here, I just think it's interesting. I think it needed something else kind of deep, and I would be excited to use that to deepen up some of these looks. I think that is the winner. Here is my Natasha Denona Yucca palette. It's not quite what I was expecting. I don't really know what I was expecting, but I thought it might look a little bit, like, rosier than this. But it would change the whole thing to have, like, rosy shimmers or something. And, like, I love all these shimmers, and I think, realistically, I would get a look out of this palette that would feel true to me and exciting. And there's shadows in here that I feel like I haven't used in a while, and I know I really like, so that's, like, spot on what I'm looking for also. Let me clean up my workspace, and then I'm going to swatch this out. Shine by SD Rich Bliss, Luxie Dreamy, Cleona Ochre, Luxie Sultry, Pretties for Your Face Strange, Luxie Rusted Rose, Divina Sunset Sands, Divina Courtney, Cleona Carving, Terramoon's Milky Way, Terramoon's Ophiuchus, Menagerie Electric, Cleona Bronze Fountain, Luxie Wicked Witch, Terramoon's Chestnut. There is my little palette. Yes, seeing it in the swatches, I'm confident in my vision. I feel like I have a good variety of, like, tones and textures. I see real looks that I would do with this. I have options to go dark, I have options to go a little bit cool, I have options to go very, like, light and airy and easy. I'm excited for this. Let's switch over to my face, and I'm going to do a look. Okay, I have eye primer on, and I have a vision, so we'll see if it goes as planned. I'm gonna start with Dreamy in my crease. I feel like with this crease color, it's gonna end up looking like the ColourPop Tinkerbell palette, which I didn't have, but I always like the look of it. I want to do a little bit of a halo eye. I don't have one method that I always do in regards to, like, the order that I do it. Right now, I'm going to try to start by mapping out the, like, darker ends of it. I'm going to use Ophiuchus from Terramoons, and I'm going to see if it picks up well on a brush. I don't think I've ever used this on a brush. Perhaps. I might end up using my finger a little bit to add some intensity on this, but I like using the brush first just to, like, map out where I want it to be. And if there's any harsher lines I want to create, this will do that. It looks like a different color on the outer parts, right? This shade is so shifty. The brush worked out pretty well for that, so I'm going to use the same brush I wiped it off for Cleona Ochre, which is going to be the center shade. And I definitely will have to build this up, but I really like that smoothness in the crease. Yeah, I'm not even going to worry about, like, filling in the inside yet. Okay, going with my finger. Ooh, so pretty. Like, this color is the Yucca palette. I condensed the entire palette into one color. Here it is. Ooh, I love it. And I'm just going to use my finger also to kind of, like, up the intensity of the outer and inner with Ophiuchus. Where I feel like it needs to blend a little bit more, I tap it more so than pat it. Are those the same thing? You know, I'm a little bit less firm with my fingertip the closer I get to the other shade. Yeah, that's going to be the top lid, so I'm going to do my base and come right back for the lower lash line and inner corner. Okay, brows and base are done. I was originally thinking I might go in with, like, Menagerie Electric and just do, like, a green matte lower lash line, but I kind of feel like I want to play into the lid a little bit more for the lower lash line, so I'm gonna do like a little bit more and we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna use Davina Courtney as like a lower lash line transition. And I don't know if I want to go like full halo on my lower lash line or just use the two shimmers. Because I like the idea of just using the two shimmers, but then I'm going to like get to my inner corner on a different color than it is on the top, you know? So let's see, let's start with Ophiuchus and see, because that's definitely going on the outer part. You know, I feel like the transition we have down there is going to alter the colors enough that it's okay if it ends in a different spot. So I'm going to do this for like half, and then I'll do ochre for the inner half. Ochre time. I love a good shimmery lower lash line, and actually it does kind of do like a little bit of like a checkerboard effect, but I like that. Then I'm just going to use Shine by SD Rich Bliss for the inner corners. Definitely a different tone of green, but I still like it. Wow, that's the eye. So I'm going to put on the finishing touches, the eyeliner, mascara, and all that, and we'll be right back. And here is the finished look. This is so my Yucca palette. This is the my cup palette. You know, like if, yeah. That's gonna be everything for today. I'm really excited about this palette. I'm really excited about continuing to use it. I think I only used like, what, 5 shadows? Yeah, I think I only used 5 shadows for this look. I love this look. I hope to use ochre a lot more while I have this assembled, and there's so many other looks that I'm dying to use also. I was so tempted today to do like a carving and Milky Way look, but I wanted to do something that I felt like represented this palette more. Like if I was making the advertising campaign for this palette, this is the look that I'd probably like tie more to it, you know? But still, I'm so excited to dive into this. I feel like I really accomplished what I set out to do, which is make the Yucca palette that makes my heart flutter. If you enjoyed this, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up and subscribe. It really means a lot to me. And there's always way more indie makeup content on the way. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.